Hey guys, I'm Pascal from Orange Pixel and this is Devlog part 2 for Space Grunts part 2. Anyway, I kind of regret doing just one video per week and then also having to cover other topics in my videos and stuff like that because I changed so much in the current game, and that's usually how when I create a new game at the beginning, a lot of stuff happens very fast. So I could have probably made 3, maybe 4 videos full of cool content for you guys. But I didn't, so we're gonna crunch all that what I did in the last 2 weeks. Has it just been 2 weeks? Yeah, 2.5 weeks. All the stuff done in 2.5 weeks crunched into this video. I just have to figure out where I ended the last devlog, so I'm just gonna rewatch it on my PC for a bit. So check the intro, I'll be right back, and I should know where to take this whole video because there's a lot of stuff to cover. Trust me, a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Anyway, check the intro. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm all up to speed on the game. If you're not up to speed, check devlog number 1. It's a pretty fun video and it explains everything I set out to do on this game. So what it's gonna be and the limitations and everything. And you will also notice that we ended up with a character running around in an empty world with something that looked like rooms but weren't really good rooms. So the first thing I did was create a level generator, which is probably my most favorite thing to do in a new game. Start a level generator, which basically generates a level. I know, stating the obvious, but it's a very fun process. It means I first have to figure out what do I want from a level, what are the things and the features I want in it, and then figure out how to actually build it. So in simple terms, this is going to be a lot of square rooms with a corridor and a square room. Everything is going to be the same size and placed in the same position. Don't worry, there will be variation in it. I'll explain that later. But for now, I needed to create square rooms with corridors and then basically create a maze, and it's probably comparable to something like Binding of Isaac. I think does about the same thing, creating a room and then branching off into different rooms until you have a certain amount of rooms on your level. And while creating this level generator, I was also trying to figure out how to do fog of war or visibility, because the game is gonna be a roguelike, a turn-based. I pretty much want the player to have the freedom to move everywhere and see as much as possible. But it's also pretty interesting to not be able to see all the enemies unless you actually see them or in your line of sight. Now, I don't really like fog of war and how it works in many games, just having it completely dark or black or something. So I'm gonna find something in the middle of showing everything and showing nothing, and somewhere in between that should be the perfect sweet spot for what I want in this game. Alright, now before I show you the next shocking part, remember what I said in devlog 1, everything you see can and will change, and probably it will change. So we're now at the point where a lot of stuff has changed. During the level and creating the levels and walking around in the level, there were a few things that were bugging me. First were the graphics. It was just a very messy, there was a lot of stuff happening, and for this game I want to really go back to what I did for the original Heroes of Loot game, and let's go to a very basic looking pixel art style. So not a lot of details in the walls and the textures and everything. Something very clean and clear, and something more bright and happy maybe. I'm not sure how to describe it, but the next shot shows you a little bit of the changes I made to the graphics. I've also been tinkering with the light system. There are different ways to do light, and in this case I'm talking about the smoothness of the light. I guess that's what you could call it. Again, I wanted to have something more simple and basic that's easy on the eye and doesn't add a lot of detail. So for that I'm using a much more raw lights so that there's not a lot of shade going from dark to bright. It's either bright or dark, and maybe 1 or 2 shades in between, but not a lot of detail. So I've been working on that as well, trying to find the right thing, and that's really what I like about creating a new game. You get to figure out a bunch of stuff and try a lot of stuff until you're happy and ready to use it and release it as it is. So you pretty much start with one room and then you pick a direction, up, down, left, right. You place a new room next to it, you connect both rooms with a corridor, and you then decide to go another direction from the second room. If you can't find the direction or you just randomly want to stop, you can go back to the previous room and start another room from there, which will allow you to create multiple branches from a single room. And having built that, is we now have a random level generator. I can define how many rooms I want in my level, and it will basically just create a level from there. Now the level generator is not going to be completely random. I'm going to use the same thing I did for the last previous game. So Gunslug, Space Grunts, Meganoid, they are pretty much random, but the rooms itself are built on a template. So while the room placement is completely random, we then pick a template to fill that room. And using these templates, I'll be able to actually make the rooms have different shapes and not just all be square. Alright, so I plugged in the editor that I had for all my previous games. I changed it a bit so that it works for this game, and then I started building a couple of templates. I figured out that I need just a few templates to create these type of rooms. The first template will have an exit to the north and to the south, and we can basically rotate it 90 degrees, 180 degrees or 270 degrees to make different variations. So the room with a exit on top and bottom can also be used for a same type of room with an exit on the left and the right by rotating it 90 degrees. I do this for all the templates. So we need about 4 different type of templates to cover all our type of rooms. All right, so that's pretty much the first couple of steps I did. But as I mentioned, I did a lot of stuff in the last 2.5 weeks. The things I just talked about were maybe a couple of days work. So what have I been doing in the rest of those 2.5 weeks? Maybe I should just show you. Yeah, I'm just gonna show you and then I'm gonna explain it to you. Check out the current state of the game. Yes, we have a card battle system in the game. I'll be honest, it's very likely that next week I'll tell you I removed all of this. But right now, this is what I've been working on and spending a lot of time in. Creating a sort of card battle system to replace the original action system from the original Space Grunts. If you prefer that, play the original Space Grunts. But if you, like me, want to change things up every now and then and see how it works, and if it works and if it's fun, this is what I'm working on. I have no idea if it stays. It's a little bit harder to balance the attack and defense stuff than I thought, but I'm reading a lot of rule books on other card battle games and see what all the options are and what other games are doing, because they figured it all out before me. So I just have to steal or borrow the right ideas and see if we can make it work. So far it's looking pretty positive, but like I said, maybe next week I'll tell you it's all gone, all removed, and I'm doing something completely different. That's the fun of creating games, the joy of making games, and the whole reason I'm creating games. I don't do magic. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the card battle system. If you have some good ideas for it, let me know as well, because I'm very open to suggestions on that area of the game. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next week with a hopefully other devlog, part 3. I might have completely changed the game, and maybe it will just be a racing game by the time we have a devlog next week. Space Grunts racing game. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.